Hi there, everyone. Greetings to you. Hi there, everyone. All right, just checking my sounds. Okay. Okay. So, with that being said, welcome to Compost and Causations. I am Osmosis the Compostist. And this is, let me bring the mic a little closer. Check, 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 check. Let's see how that sounds. Oh, yeah, that's much better. So, this broadcast is the last in this manner. So, that's all that I'll say. We got some new things in store, some new locales, some new activities, some cool things planned. And this particular broadcast is about it being a compliment to composting. A compliment to composting, pardon me, you all. First off, I want to apologize for being very late, 2 hours later than I planned on doing this broadcast. And the reason for that is because I had an emergency, an unexpected emergency with my vehicle that I had to get fixed and taken care of ASAP. And so that kind of, set things back by, just over an hour. So, and then I was running around for quite a bit. It's not often that I go out in the world and I handle like chores and I'm going for like a stretch of 3 to 5 hours. But today was one of those days. And, it's coming towards the end of the month. Yeah. One of the things that I had taken care of is I had to go get the appropriate tools uh, for my microphone. So I have a second way to connect my mic to the systems. So I've added some things to the studio today as well. They're not at play just yet. They're still at bay, but I'm excited about it. And we're going to continue to grow and look better, get better, feel better. That's what it's about. And I'm looking forward to it. So I want to thank you all for being here, for watching this broadcast, for accepting my apology for my tardiness today. And we're here. So thankful for that. The lighting is a bit different than how it usually is. Apologies about that as well. So, we're trying to center myself. We're doing the best that we can with the plan. So, a compliment to Compost. You saw me come in showing some photos of the composting site in Red Hook and kind of showing my journey, in composting. It's not all of the photos. It's just, some very specific ones that are pertaining to the composting site in Red Hook. So kind of like a slideshow is how we came in, and then how we're going to go out with the broadcast. We're going to do the same thing as well. So stay tuned with some additional pictures and memories of composting in Brooklyn, composting in New York City. So I'm just very, very thankful and very, very grateful. The previous broadcast was a bit heavy This one is a bit lighter, and kind of like, giving the other side, and, giving my appreciation, my acknowledgement, my gratitude, my thankfulness to the composting world in general, specifically Brooklyn, New York in particular. And it's just been amazing. Composting changed my life for the better. Composting changed my life for the better. How? How could you not have a better life after being exposed to the composting world? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I recommend that you try it. See what comes of it. See what comes out of it. See what you learn. See what you experience. But it allowed for it changed my life in so many ways. One of the ways, and some of the ways that it changed my life, is that it allowed my natural traits to come out and be expressed. Growing up as a kid in Newark, New Jersey, a large family, financially not well off, as a people and as a family, you got to stay self-sustainable, self-relying, to the best of your ability. And people have their chores. They have their designated tasks that they are assigned, to help the ship of the household run fluently and efficiently. And then you have, certain things that we do in the household growing up that we just love to do. So we take it upon ourselves to do it. And so composting allowed me to do both of those, to address both of those areas, because I'm someone who, growing up as a kid, I was very no waste, low waste, as it pertains to food scraps. I disliked very much wasting food. My mother will share that with you. My family will share that with you. If I knew that I wasn't going to eat something, then I wouldn't eat it, or I'll just give it to somebody else to finish. But if I'm eating it, I'm going to eat as much as I possibly can. If we're talking about meat products, when I ate that as a kid, I didn't like to eat certain aspects that others would eat, like skin and ligaments and, things like that. But, I'd eat as much as I possibly can, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm full, I don't want any more. Nope, not me. It was rare, so, if there was food in the fridge, sometimes my sisters would be like, oh, Umi, which is, Arabic for mother. Umi, we don't have any food in the fridge. We don't have any food in the house. I go in the cabinets. I see food. I see cans. I see boxes of items. I see some bags. I go in the fridge. I see items in the fridge. Maybe it's not a full fridge, but to me, I'm like, this fridge has a medium amount of groceries and items in here to eat. So I'm not quite getting what my younger sisters, some of them, were talking about. So I was like, nah, I'm not new generation, like spoiled kids kind of thing. I'm going to make a great meal out of this in the cabinet and cupboard, and this, and this in the fridge. Here we go. And I ate good. So I was always about not trying to go out and spend more money to buy more food, either take out food or food that can be made at home. Save your money. Don't waste it. You would be wasting it because there is food here to make and cook. They just got to eat it, whether they like it or not, as long as it's healthy. And so I'm like, no, let's save the funds, at least for me. I'm going to do my part. You can get them this separate food, but I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to eat what's here. So you don't have to worry about shopping for me for food. So I'm going to make the most out of this item, that item, before it goes bad, before it's thrown away, before it spoils, before it rottens. And even if it's just a little rotten, a little bit too decomposed, or a little on the spoil side, I can cut off the ends. I can cut off the spoil part, and I can still eat it. Why? Because there's poor people in this world. Why? Because there's hungry people in this world who don't have a fraction of what we have. And they would take that same piece of food and be like, there's some spoiled, there's some decomposition on it. I'm still going to eat it. or they just cut it off real quick and eat what's left. 1 bite, 2 bites is better than no bite at all, right? So for me, like I always had that mindset as a kid of being empathetic towards others, being low waste and doing what I can do and focusing in on me. Sustainability. Like I stopped eating red meat at 13 years of age because of what was going on with the food systems, and also for religious reasons, for scientific reasons. And yeah, it just was the food system itself as a kid, from what I learned overall, was just out of whack and, heavily contaminated. And so I was like, I don't want to be a part of that system. Humans eating other animals. What if somebody was eating humans the same way? So it's like disconnect from that. Having to harvest those animals, it's costly on the environment because of X, Y, and Z. So it was like, disconnect from that, not doing that. Spiritually, religious wise, 13 was a powerful number with the prophets in the Bible. And it was like, what can I do that is on par with what it is they did? What can I do that my peers aren't doing, or it's not even on their radar, but it's something positive and progressive, a rites of passage that I want to go through, that I choose. These were all bits and pieces, of it as to why I became, why I stopped eating red meat at age 13, going into my teens, and then became a vegetarian at 19, and then became a vegan, at about 29, 30. And so, now I'm kind of like 85, 15, 90, 10. I'm still primarily plant-based. I think that's the best way for, human beings on planet Earth at this time overall. But I understand variations in those who choose not to do that. So just having that sustainable mindset of wanting to recycle in the household, and, kind of like being semi in charge of that, the plastics, the glass, and what's trash, and, taking out the trash, and, all of that stuff. It was like, if we got a bag of apples and one of the apples was quote unquote bad or a bit bruised up or beat up, most of my other siblings wouldn't grab that apple. For me, I'm like, that's the apple that I'm going to grab and I'm going to eat. Because who I am was like, I want to care for those things, those items, maybe even those people, but I want to care for those items that have been beat up a little bit, that have been bruised, or people just disregard them or overlook them because they see that, or they see that and it's like, no, I'll go for this. It's like, no, that has value in it. That has sustenance in it. That has experience in it. Let me tap into that and see what it can give me, and show it gratitude. And somehow energetically in the overarching universe, maybe it will show gratitude to me, or the universe will give me that karma and that good energy. And I don't want my siblings having that item, because maybe they can't handle it because they don't want it, or it might make them sick, but I feel like my stomach is strong enough to handle it. Be it the power of the mind, or my stomach was actually stronger. I can handle, the decomposing items a bit stronger than they could. So it was like, I was already composting. I was already composting food in my belly. I don't do that now. Now it's like 85, 90, 10, 85, 90%. I don't do anything like that. 10, 15%, I got my moments of shaving something off and, or being like, at least let me take a bite out of it before I put it in the compost, pile or container. But I've had siblings, one sister in particular, be like, yo, bro, don't do that. There's spores in it. Like, you deserve better. And I get your mindset, but especially with your health, situation and, challenges, don't ingest decomposing items at all if it's anywhere on it. So, I've leaned more towards that now. But sharing all that to say that those traits and characteristics were intrinsically in me. And so me being a composter was like, oh, this food isn't going to go to waste. Oh, these are actually great brand new apples that somebody, for whatever reason, chose to throw in this pile of food scraps. Oh, let me take these out. Let me be a freegan. If you know what a freegan is, you know. If you don't know what a freegan is, do your research and find out. This is being a freegan in a different way. I think I'm saying it correctly, with food in particular. So I took some precautions, of course, and maybe some I didn't take. And both of those have a payoff, to it. So, you used to find, bags or bundles of healthy onions or, and we've done enough shopping in our lives to be like, these onions aren't bad. Somebody just had way too much of these and was about to move or going out of town and just knew that they weren't going to eat it and didn't want to leave it in the house to decompose for X amount of reasons. So they just gave it to the composting site. I get it, but I was like, I'll be, removing that from the pile and doing what I need to do. I wasn't the only one who did that, though. Plenty of people do that in the composting world and those who are not in the composting world. So, that was super important. But just being able to do those same, express those same ways of being on the composting sites was pretty cool, to inform people about decomposition and sustainability overall and what composting is and how it's beneficial to the planet, how it's beneficial to people's lives, how it's beneficial to the community. And, a great reason why we have rats and roaches and quote unquote rodents and critters that we quote unquote don't like in and around our homes is because they're trying to live and trying to sustain themselves just like we are as creatures on planet Earth. And so they know where the food is. They can smell it, they can sense it, then they can eat it and taste it. And so if we remove those items from our trash bags, from our garbage cans, from around our homes, inside and outside of our homes, remove it out of the neighborhood and send it to a site where it can be put through a process and turned back into soil to grow more of it, to grow more fruits and vegetables and food overall, that's a win-win for everybody. Our neighborhoods are cleaner, our homes are cleaner, we feel cleaner, communities are cleaner, cities are cleaner, so on and so forth. So I knew that intrinsically as a kid. Maybe I didn't have the language or the experience to express it all the way, but now I do have a lot of that. And so that's what I'm expressing, This work allowed me to connect to the earth because I'm an earth sign. So being able to connect deeper with nature and the natural elements because I'm a nature nut and doing earthen work was like, this is good for my spirit. It's good for my being. I've always wanted to do something like this. And so this is perfect to be able to be a steward of the planet, to be of servitude to the planet, to be in communion with others and being in communion with the planet. So it was a win-win, win-win-win. It just made sense to me, and to be able to work outdoors doing something progressive, productive, and get compensated for it, to have it be a job, a career. Sometimes I wasn't even thinking about pay. It was like, this is so enjoyable and so fulfilling and challenging. It adds so much value to my being that I'm just grateful and thankful that I have this opportunity. Now, me, getting paid, that's a big bonus. And that's an incentive to get up and go to work, and work outdoors in all kinds of weather conditions and patterns and, which connects to the next point where it allowed me to tap into my warrior side and be like, to be able to work outdoors in the winter, in the autumn, in the summer, in the spring is pretty interesting. So you get beautiful weather days and you're like, oh, the weather's just perfect. It's like mid to late 70s, slight humidity, slight breeze, like sun is shining. You can just, smell spring in the air, smell autumn in the air. And then you got days when it's 15 degrees outside with a wind chill. Then you got days when it's 94 degrees outside, humidity, thick, pardon me. Now think about the cold is obviously if it gets way too cold, there was not a cold quotient that we got sent inside for. It was more like a judgment call. I don't know why there wasn't a cold quotient, but when it got too cold, we'd like this was once in a purple moon. We'd take a break and go indoors, like across the street to like a business or something like that. We probably did that 2 times, the entire almost year and a half, 2 years that I was working on this site. Now, when it gets hot, heat wise, there is a heat, quotient where if it goes, I think it was 93, 94, 95, 95 for sure. If it's like 95 and higher, temperature wise, you stop work altogether and you go home, or you go into the office if you can and finish your day there in air conditioned setting. So, but to be able to work outside in all these weather patterns with rakes and pitchforks and shovels and wheelbarrows and hundreds of pounds of earthen material, wood chips and soil and compost and, and sometimes you got to use specialty tools like, some large knives because you're working on a special project, or you're doing something with the gear, working with tarps. So it's all kinds of things that can go on and you have the tools and everything is hand tools based. So you're not relying on, some heavy machinery to, come make your job and your responsibilities a bit easier. That's not what you're doing, at all. So it's like, you got to grab what it is you got around you and you have to complete the task and complete the mission. For that day, there are several missions and tasks that have to be done based upon what it is we have on this site. These water hoses included, all of this, you got to complete that task before the sun goes down and before you have to clock out at your designated time. You got to know how to weatherize the site for the cold and for the heat. So all these things was like, man, this is warrior living. You're just battling the elements in a way. You're working with the elements in a lot of ways. Your body, you might feel pain. You got to push through. You got to wrap yourself up. You got to look like a warrior, boots and gloves and, jackets and scullies and facial coverings. And, you got to, based upon the task and the season, you got to make it work. Deep breaths, take off the facial cover and take a deep breath, and so it allowed me to tap into that. It also allowed me to be a part of something that is changing the world. I know it sounds cliche, but to be able to do work that is literally changing the world for the better, that is helping the environment, helping, climate change and slowing that down. For those who subscribe to that, you choosing to be a part of composting is helping the climate be more sustainable for the planet overall and for us on it. Being able to have people be low waste or be more considerate of the food that they buy, and consider, do you really need that much of that? You're probably going to only throw it away. So what if you got 3/4 of that or half of that, or just got what you needed for the time that you needed it? And then when you needed some more, maybe go back to the store, maybe ride your bicycle as you go to the store, get some good exercise, no fossil fuels, making people more conscientious of that, making people more informed about the process of how to turn food items that we no longer want or that we no longer are able to feed upon, put it through a process to turn it into a kind of soil that is compost, a soil amendment, to grow more food, to grow more sustenance for us on planet Earth. It's beautiful. Keep the circle and the cycle of life going. That's changing the world. That's connecting people to the earth. That's connecting people to the environment. That's connecting people to nature, connecting them to agriculture and being more informed. And if you come to volunteer, you're building up and getting that skill set. So you're becoming more self-reliant on the processes as it pertains to the food system and the ins and outs and the pros and cons and the bureaucracy and the red tape that is also involved. However, got into that in the previous broadcast, not in this broadcast. But yeah, you're just able to learn so much from start to finish, you know, and see, oh, wow, 2 weeks ago, that was my food scraps. Now it's in this windrow and it's steam coming off the top, and we just open it up and it avalanche, swoosh. You know, oh, wow, the temperature's 140 degrees. Look at all this steam. Look at all this mycelium. Look at all this fungi. I see some red. What does that mean? I see some white. What does that mean? I see some brown. What does that mean? Look at the macroorganisms crawling around. Look at the microorganisms. Let's take it and put it under a microscope at home. Learning about all of that. And then you fast forward a few months. Wow. Now this is a soil amendment composting that I'm actually putting in my garden, putting in my backyard, putting on my houseplants to help them be healthier. So it's all, this is changing the world. This is connecting us. This is sustainability. This is a lifestyle, a mindset approach that is sustainable. Composting also allowed me to socialize. When I get out in public, I'm a people's person. So I love to interface with all kinds of people, converse, conversate, poke the bear, discover something, learn each other, explore life. So it allowed that aspect of myself to be heightened and taken care of, because you're meeting people from all around the country, all around the world. So that's what composting gave me. I'm sure there's more, but that's what came to mind. And so we're going to leave it at that. But that's how composting changed and enhanced my life, my well-being. And so I'm very, very thankful to it. Just checking my sounds. And let's do this. Let's take a mini break. Let's take a mini break. Not break. Let's take a mini musical intermission. Intermission? How about that? Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we're back at it. We're back at it. Check. See. Yep. We're good. We're good. So, acknowledgements time. Yes, it's time to acknowledge you. Yes. Okay. So, with that being said, the first person I want to thank as it pertains to my composting endeavors is me. Of course, me first. And in particular, but well, you got to thank yourself first to have for having the impetus, for having the gene, for having the thoughts, for having the passion and the persistence to, you know, be informed and take on this way of being. It is a lifestyle, once a pardon me, it's challenging to go back to the ways that you were before being a composter. Once you get exposed to composting, that's just what it is. So me envisioning myself throwing away some food, that doesn't really happen. Not even like a purple moon, unless there's like unless something is like infested. We've been trained to like not include that in the pile. Even if it's like crumbs, like try to recycle as much as you can. Getting back into acknowledgements. After me, I would like to acknowledge Louise Bruce. She started something called Compost for Brooklyn, if I'm correct, back like in 2010. And I was doing some research. I was living in Jersey at that time, East Orange, New Jersey. And however, I was still a New Yorker because I was also, I was coming to New York since I was a kid. And then as a grown person, I was, oftentimes working here as well. And then living here, hanging out, just, socializing here in New York. So I was doing some research about where could I volunteer in Jersey. Jersey didn't have that many. So it was like New York. It was like, where at in New York? Manhattan has some. Brooklyn probably has more. I love Brooklyn. It's like my second home. So it's like, all right, let's see what Brooklyn is talk about. And I discovered, Compost for Brooklyn and Louise Bruce and the work that she was doing in the Kensington community and neighborhood in Brooklyn, deep in Brooklyn. And so I decided to, reach out by email and, came out for like a test run one day and I liked it. And I came a few more times. I may have come maybe 3 to 5 more times. And eventually I became like a assistant, garden manager or something like that. And it was like, oh, wow, now I'm doing these tasks where I was just a volunteer and I still am. I'm not getting paid for this, but now I have some more tasks and I've kind of like upped my title. And so I probably went there like anywhere between like 5 to 7 times total. And then like based upon, other things that I had going on in life and, getting back into teaching and just moving around so much like schedule wise, it didn't work for me any longer. So I had to pause on that, but yeah, I was interviewing at a few other, spots as well. And in the coming years, but that was my first like official volunteering at a composting site in a garden, as a grown person. And so that happened. That just reminded me to thank somebody else as well. So that was that, back in 2011. So she provided the gateway for me to, carry my passions a bit further. So Louise, you're still doing the great work. You're still being highlighted. Thank you so, so much for your great work and for your contribution to my life as a professional and personally as well. So I see you. I salute you. Keep smiling. It's beautiful. And keep on doing the great work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. After Louise, we got many people. I would say let's go with Claudia Joseph. Claudia Joseph, old stone house. I kind of like want to show a picture of all these people, but I feel like I'll be on here forever if I start doing that. So you can do the research yourself. But yeah, Claudia Joseph at the old stone house. It's not Gowanus. I want to say, let me see, hold on. Let me just, because it's been some years. There we go. There it is. I just want to make sure I have, old stone house at Washington Park. And what the heck? What is the neighborhood? Give me the neighborhood. What neighborhood is that? That's Gowanus or Park Slope. It might even be Park Slope, I think, or going into South Slope. But wow, so I'm seeing that my mic was muted. Go back a little bit to see how long it was muted. Let me see. Give me just a moment, okay? I apologize, y'all. All right, and we're back. So I just had to take a brief little pause just to, see where I was at with things. Let me get caught up to speed real quick. All right, thank you all for being patient with me. Let me turn this music down. So we didn't miss much. The next person that I had lined up to show appreciation and thanks towards was Claudia Joseph at the Old Stone House in Park Slope, Brooklyn. She is somebody who was my permaculture instructor, and I got a permaculture certificate as well, and that was pretty cool. And me and one of my exes did that together, and it was phenomenal. And we did that at the Old Stone House once a week for several months. And it was amazing. And so we helped her out, with some tasks in the stone house itself, attended some cool, events that happened there. And, most of our work was done outdoors in the garden. And so Miss Joseph was phenomenal in instructing us in that way. So, she just has tons of wisdom and just has like a cool personality, has some spunk to her, and is very, very knowledgeable. So thank you, Miss Claudia Joseph, for your contribution to my life professionally and personally, and for your patience and for your sharing. She even came out to an event that I invited her out to. So just thank you. So I see you. Much appreciated. Bless you. Salute to you. Up next, we got David Buckle. Now, David Buckle was a popular civil rights lawyer, in particular for queer and gay people, and his work in that realm. And then he kind of changed careers and got into agriculture and, the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens and composting. And he decided to switch careers and was a part of, creating like a world famous technique, and just honing that craft, honing that skill and building it out, of being able to use hand tools exclusively, no fossil fuel usage, to be able to run a site and do it in a way where the site is now world famous. People from all over the world, all over the country, all over the region, all over the city coming to Red Hook to see your technique, the David Buckle technique, or how he does it. So just what he had to study, the fortitude that he had to have to switch careers and then just dive deep into it and be able to hone his craft on a master level, and be able to share that with the world and be regimented for sure. You got to be disciplined, and that was the path that he took, and it was very beneficial, for those who came to the site. And so he created a legacy in composting, and I became a part of that legacy by way of Domingo Morales. Domingo was David's mentee, and Domingo became my mentor and my instructor and my teacher in how to compost on a community scale composting site using only hand tools, how to navigate the space, how to navigate the bureaucracy and the red tape, how to carry yourself, or how to navigate managing 50 people. If it's you and two other people who you're doing that with, or if it's just you and one other person, or what if it's just you? Can you manage 50 people on the composting site as volunteers? So just knowing the ins and outs of not only composting and helping me get deeper into the sciences and the learnings of that, but also, how to carry yourself in a certain way, as a man, even, because I'm a grown man, but I'm still growing. So there's even yeah, so even though, Domingo was much younger than me, hold on. Okay. Here we go. Give me just a moment, y'all. We're going to be ending this at about an hour. Why is this not showing up? What the heck? Check, check, check. Let's see. What I was saying was, like, even though Domingo was younger than me, by some years, us as humans, us as men, you're still able to teach somebody who's your elder. And so I just saw him as a man, and he had a lot to share, and I had a lot to learn. And he even had something to learn, and I had some to share, but he's a warrior. He's of the warrior class, to protect, defend, and care for the earth. So that aligned with my spirit for various reasons, some of which I've already mentioned, so I'm just super thankful to him, and him continuing onward with David's legacy, and him creating his own legacy, the Domingo methodology, DM methodology. Domingo Morales from the BX and from Brooklyn, to be specific, at Red Hook Compost, the Red Hook composting site, just to be clear. So the work that he did, his spirit, his fortitude, his humor, his seriousness, and being like, yo, bro, be on time. His grumpiness, his moodiness, but his power, his smile, his forethought, just his vision. And he started to build out his vision and tweak certain things that he was taught by David and create his own version of it, or expand or create his own ways of doing something, and still honoring that. And then be able to impart that upon me and our co-worker at that time, Xander Shaw. You know who you are. Salute, Xander. Thank you, man, for your great work and partnership, man. Compost brothers for life. We don't agree on everything. We may not speak, with where we're at now, but in our heart, in our spirit, for the compost, we're brothers forever. So thank you. I was saying that the same thing goes for Brendan Parker. Even though he's on the farm side of things, he's a brother for life in agriculture. All of us have been through some trying times. We've made it through, and we've done some great work together. We partner with, Brendan, and he's come over to our side and learned how to do our method, and he brought that back over to his side, brought over his youth so that they can learn the method, like invited us to events. So it's been a brotherhood, especially amongst us four men, Domingo, Xander, Brendan, and myself, Osmosis the Compostist, which is where I earned that name on that site. So wanted to acknowledge them, but in particular Domingo as well, man, for just just being tough on me at times. He was a prick at times and doing some unnecessary stuff, but not stuff, whatever. We had our run-in, but then we came back around and smoothed it out and made our bond even stronger, as composting brothers, as composting men. He was just being himself and where he was at on his journey, and that applies to all of us. Same here with me. I'm a different version of myself than I was, 2, 3, 4 years ago. He could say the same exact thing 5 years ago. But for life, we're compost brothers, and he's my mentor. That's still where it's at. When I see him, what's up, teacher? What's up, coach? Even if I don't say those words, I feel that in my spirit. So salute to you, brother. I see you. I love you and I appreciate you. So peace and love, man. Keep up the great work. Compost Power. That's the name of his brand and his organization and what he's got going on right now. So please support him. Moving through, I now want to thank the organizations. I touched on Claudia Joseph, right? At Old Stone House in Park Slope for teaching me permaculture. Me and my ex, who was the impetus. Got to give a shout out to my ex. I even say her name, Aisha, for kind of like nudging me and pushing me, to get deeper into the composting world, and being like, baby, I think you might be interested in this. Like knowing you, knowing me, knowing us and how we roll. Let's do this together. Let's do this separately, or what if you do that? Let me support you doing that. And so she kind of would like nudge me and was like, hey, listen, try this out, check this out. So I want to acknowledge her and say, thank you. I love you forever for that. You know who you are. So thank you, Aisha. So I got to acknowledge her, So that's that. And we did the Claudia Joseph training together in permaculture. And did we ever get our certificate? To be continued. I think we got something. So that's that. Now I want to acknowledge the organizations that I work with and for. Grow NYC. Thank you. Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, BBG. Thank you. NYC Compost Project by way of the Department of Sanitation. NYC Compost Project, thank you. I see you. Green City Force and the incredible work that they're doing with so many youths from the inner cities in New York is phenomenal. Things aren't perfect, but overall, things are phenomenal because they're doing great work and it's changing lives for the better. I also would like to thank RHI, that's the Brendan side of things and his organization, and just, the work that they're doing in the world as well. It's just beautiful. I would like to thank all the local gardens that I've worked with. I would like to thank all the composting sites that I work with as well during that time. The community members who we partner with to help sprinkle some, sifted or unsifted compost on their block in front of their home. I would like to thank the volunteers, especially the regulars. I don't need to, name names. You know who you are. You came week after week or strong after strong. And sometimes in all these kinds of weather conditions alongside us. And you did your part in helping the site continue to function, because the site would not have been able to function on the level that it is and be able to be known the way that it is if it wasn't for volunteers. And that's why the method is what it is. Putting people first, putting community first, putting humans first with hand tools and putting them to work, having some direction, onset, outset with a goal in mind. So it's about building community and people power, So it's like continuing onward in that legacy. And these regulars being volunteers coming, they help us keep the site going. Any kind of volunteers helped us keep the site going. A lot of times we got volunteers from different kinds of organizations and corporations, nonprofits, for-profits, local schools in the neighborhood or in other parts of Brooklyn, maybe even in Harlem a few times, coming down to Red Hook, which is not easy to get to by train or even bus, and them coming on site. So the many organizations and corporations and schools that we partner with to do this great work. I mean, from 4-year-olds who are on site under supervision of a guardian or their parent or their teachers, to people who are literally in their 80s, literally. at least late 70s. You all are responsible. Clap your hands. I salute you. I thank you. The volunteers, I thank you. The organizations, I thank you. Thank you for making it possible for us to do the work, to being our supporting cast. Thank you. Lastly, I got to give a shout out to when I started my composting business, my food scrap hauling business. I had some people who volunteered to help me get things going and throughout the entire process. And I had some clients who supported my business, even in some cases when they didn't have to. They saw something in me, they saw something in my work, or they saw something in composting. Maybe all three of those things. And they supported me month after month in doing this work. So I'm uber grateful and uber thankful to you all. I love you. I thank you. I appreciate you. From the volunteers, the few volunteers that I had, to the multitude of clients that I had. You know who you are. Stopping at your house, you know, it was just exciting and interesting. You know, sometimes I might get a treat from you. It was just beautiful. So thank you for allowing me to be, or doing your part in supporting me in becoming an entrepreneur in the field, and not just working with these organizations that I named, but also creating my own, and then you seeing value in that and supporting that and spending your money with that. It's an equal exchange. You're paying me for a service and I'm completing the service and the mission and the task. Whether I transport your food scraps or build you a worm bin or consult with you, you supported me, and I thank you, and I see you, and I salute you from the heart. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Osmosis the Composters. And in closing, I just want to thank you all. Anybody that I've named as an individual or an organization, a group of people, including myself, thank you for partnering with me. Thank you for partnering with us to help change the world, literally, to help enhance the world, literally, to help enhance our planet, literally. Keep on doing the work. I see you. I salute you. The journey continues. Osmosis the Composters. Osmosis the Composters. Compost and causations. This is why, this is how. And with that said, we're gonna go out the same way we came in, with some pictures. And until next time, and you know, a newer location, I see you. I thank you. I'm grateful for you. And I love you all. Bless you. Peace.